Today's session is going to be around Wave 2, which is, so Microsoft does some, as you know, they do some fairly regular updates. And Wave 2 is the sort of the second big batch of updates coming in the second half of 2020. And more specifically today, we're going to be touching on a few updates to the navigation in Dynamics. So Wave 2 can be pushed out for you now if you would like, or it's going to be pushed out to all companies on version 9 of CRM starting from October. So anytime from now, really. So this, just a note that this is for the online tenants, and it's a little bit different. If you're on-prem, the updating is a little bit different. So yeah, if you would like to be updated now or after this session, send us an email after the Byte session and we can push through this update for you. It's pretty simple to do. All right, let's jump into it. So the first thing we're going to touch on is that the breadcrumbs up the top have been removed from the top navigation bar. So you can actually no longer use this to reference which entity you're looking at. So historically, you would have seen next to the app that you were viewing, you would then have like the entity that you're viewing and then the record. So it might say, you know, Sales Hub, then accounts, and then total CRM in as a little list up here. And that was pretty helpful for some end users when they get a bit lost in the system and saying, hey, this is where we're looking. And you could also have navigated through there a little bit just by clicking on each of those. But the positive to this update is Dynamics has fixed up their local back button that they have. So before it wasn't quite as good, and they've updated this and it's working quite well now. And you can see at the moment it's just blurred out. That's because I'm still on my first page that I was looking at. But if I just go through a couple of different pages here, so I'll go into tasks, we'll jump into this one, and then maybe we'll even jump into my login, the CRM admin. So we've gone a few pages now, and then apparently that one's going to take a while for me to load. And there we go. So with this one, it's not like your browser back button where you could right click and have a few options there. It's just a single back, but it will remember the whole sequence. So as we go through, we're just going to keep going back through the pages. And yeah, all the way back to our dashboard. So that's a really good one, rather than having to always use your browser back button. And that one can be pretty helpful. So bit of a bummer about losing the breadcrumbs. I know there was a few people that told me that was their favorite feature. I think it might have been more for the name rather than the actual function, but so that's dropped off in the Wave 2 release. So with that as well, they've also updated how you switch your Dynamics apps. So you'll notice we don't actually have a little drop-down arrow next to where it says Dynamics 365 now. Instead, what you do to switch the apps is you click on the app name. So just like Sales Hub here, and then you get your list of apps coming up. So it's a lot more intuitive as well, which is really good because yeah, in the past, you wouldn't really think to click the drop down next to Dynamics 365, and that would be where all your apps are hidden. So that makes a bit more sense now. And it's actually even better than that because from here, we can actually customize our apps a little bit as well. So previously, if you're wanting to update your apps as an admin, you would have had to go through to the advanced settings section here. And that would then open up the other page. And as I'm sure all of you know, it can, and as we can see here, it does take quite a while from time to time to log in. So, and still thinking. And that is a very good example of why we don't like going there when we don't have to. So, oh, there we go. We've finally loaded it up. And then you go through the standard way and would update the system. So, but now when we're updating the apps here, you can see that we actually have the 3 dots where we can customize as well. So as system admins here, you can update the app, and we're going to just quickly work with our sales hub that we were talking with, which is just over on the right here. And with the 3 dots, you can actually design the app or manage who can access the app. So for those who are still on older versions, in version 9, you can now have multiple different apps, and there's a lot more customization you can do around the apps and what you want to display to your users. So if I click open in App Designer here, this does take a second to load as well. There we go. So what we can do in here, this page isn't super exciting, but we can update the sitemap as well here. So if you click to update the sitemap, you'll notice that all of the stuff that's displayed here directly relates back to our sitemap on the left-hand side here. So now it's a lot easier for yourself or for us to help you customize what you see, because maybe collateral in this section here isn't really used by your business. We can now very easily just take that out, and it's just going to make it a lot easier for your users when they're navigating through the system, because we do find that the more stuff that there is, some end users start struggling if they haven't used a CRM system too often before, that they do struggle and get a bit overwhelmed by an excessive number of different areas to look at. So we can really clean this up and make sure we're presenting to you what you're looking for. The one other thing you can do from here is now you can actually reduce what views and everything are showing up as well. So as you know, that the more you have a system, the more views you get, and they do build up fairly quickly. You can now select which views you want to display in the system as well. So you don't have to have every single view, because there tends to be a few system ones that not everyone is interested in watching. All right. So that's it. That's a bit of the update around our top navigation bar. And next, we're going to jump into a few changes to the views. So we're going to jump across into our task area. There we go. So views will now be using the local search filter and are not overridden when searching for names. So previously, this would have used a quick find view, which can be quite painful as you'll lose your views filters when you do the search. So if I typed in here and we're going to look for eval for evaluation, you would actually lose the my tasks filter that we're working with. So we would have had potentially more than these two coming up because it's not using the local views filter. So now with the Wave 2 release, they've fixed this up. So again, it's a lot more intuitive in terms of what it is doing, and it will keep that filter of the view in place. I'm just going to move that down, and that will also work for any field filtering as well. So if we wanted to only have a look at, only the high priority tasks that we have in the system, that will also work as well. So, and then, if we typed in here, then sponsor, that also keeps in place this filter that we have. So we're still only looking for high priority, whereas in the past, it would have lost that as well when you typed in the search. So they've really done a nice upgrade there, which is, like I said, made it a lot more what you would expect it to do. So once you've selected a record from the view, so we're just going to jump into this evaluation plan agreed upon task here, you'll be able to increment through the records using the current view that has been used. So right next to our back button that we have, we also have this little icon here, which I guess kind of looks like a view. And if you click that, you'll actually get your list that you were just working with on the previous page. So you can see here we've got all our records here, and rather than having to go back and forth between the pages all the time, you can click through and then work through all the different tasks without having to keep going back and forth between the records and the views all the time. The really good thing about that list as well is if I just go back to my task list, if we use the filter here again, so I'm going to put the high priority filter on again, and we go into the record, this section here will keep that filter for you as well and allow you to work through the list with that filter. So this can be particularly helpful with activities, and that's why in this case I've used tasks, because they tend to be things that staff might continue working throughout the day, and they might be staying in that section a lot, and then rather going back and forth, like I said, you can work from here. So let's say I finish this task and I mark it off as complete. It's gone. We've kept that filter list there, and we can keep going through here. And because we only have the one record in our filter at the moment, you'll see it no longer has that little pop-up icon there where you can select. So let me just clear that filter. Perfect. All right. So the next bit is this little icon here. So they've now also added this local advanced filter. There we go. So a few of you may notice that this looks similar to our advanced find that we've used in the past, which is up in the top ribbon here with the little funnel. And that's popped up on my other screen, but you get this screen here, and you can start putting some more advanced filters into what you're looking for. And and then you can work through here. You'll notice that it's quite similar to this, but now rather than having to go up to the advanced find and going away from the list you're currently working in, you can just use the local advanced filtering pane. So the really good thing about this is it means you can use more than just the filters of the fields that you have on the view. So here we have our subject, our regarding, our due date, and the priority of the task. Let's say I actually want to have a look at when these were created. So we know when they're due, but I want to see all my tasks that were created, on or after maybe the 1st of September. And we have a look at that, and turns out there's none. So rather than having to go back and forth across all different screens, this now allows you to stay on the one screen and do your additional filters that you might be looking for, that might be one-off ones, and then you stay here rather than going all over the system. And you'll see that that there's an advanced filter when there's a little asterisk here next to where it says My Tasks, and then also because we had the clear filters symbol just on the right here. So if I click that, it's just going to put us back to our standard page again there. All right, so that's the little show and tell for this time. So as you can see, Microsoft are pushing out some really great quality of life updates with the Wave 2 release and a part of their weekly updates. And it's really becoming a lot more user-friendly in terms of navigation and what you can do per screen. And be sure to check out our next Byte session, where we'll cover more updates and new features and changes. Some of the sessions we're planning to record are around some new forecasting becoming available in Dynamics, and then some updates to working with emails in the system. So they've done a few upgrades there, so you can send emails a lot nicer from within the system as well, not just Outlook.